I mentioned earlier that you must report all illnesses to your supervisor or line manager before you return to work. And these include things like skin infections, close family contact with family members that might have foodborne disease or food poisoning, if you've got any septic cuts or boils, if you've eaten any suspect food. For example, you've gone to a party, you've eaten food which your friends have eaten, they've come down with food poisoning, you haven't. If you're suffering from diarrhea, vomiting or foodborne disease, if you've got any serious colds or flu which can promote coughing and sneezing, if you've been ill whilst abroad. And a statistic here, 20% of all food poison outbreaks we bring back from holidays abroad. The main thing to remember here, you must report these illnesses before you return to work and not after you return to work. Food must be kept under strict temperature control from delivery to service or from farm to fork. Deliveries, for example, as soon as deliveries arrive, they must be put away as quickly as possible. Certainly not left for more than 15 to 30 minutes in ambient temperature. Storage should either be frozen or refrigerated. Frozen at minus 18 degrees Celsius or lower, refrigerated between 1 and 4 degrees Celsius. Thawing must be done in as quick a time as possible, preferably in the bottom of a fridge in a covered container, but you can use such items called thawing cabinets. Preparation usually takes place in a kitchen, and this is at ambient temperature, so preparation in no longer than 15 to 30 minutes before the item must go back under refrigeration. Cooking must be done as quickly as possible in a hot oven or on top of a stove, and everything cooked to 75 degrees Celsius core temperature. Cooling again done as quickly as possible. In the catering industry, we use things called blast chillers, which can reduce the temperature of food from cooking temperature down to about between 1 and 4 degrees Celsius in 90 minutes. But as long as the food is cooled as quickly as possible, there's no reason you can't, say for example, leave food in a cool room for 90 minutes to take that edge off, to take that high cooking temperature off before you put it in an air-driven refrigerator. Reheating, reheat to 75 degrees Celsius core temperature and only reheat once. Service, try to serve the food as quickly as possible, certainly as quicker after preparation as possible. Minimize time in the danger zone. We've looked at the danger zone. The temperature danger zone is between 5 and 63 degrees Celsius. Food must be kept either above 63 or below 5 degrees Celsius. Must be kept out of the temperature danger zone. With frozen storage, ensure you wrap food to prevent contamination and freezer burn. Freezer burn really is the evaporation of liquid in the food if it's not covered, and although the food is safe to eat, the texture somewhat changes and it tends to be a bit spongy. And always store at minus 18 degrees Celsius or lower. And staying with frozen storage, always clean and defrost freezers thoroughly, cover and label food, keep food tidy, don't overstock, no warm food, and FIFO, which stands for first in, first out. Chill storage should be at or below 8 degrees Celsius, which is the law, or good practice between 1 and 4 degrees Celsius. With chill storage, as with frozen storage, we should clean and defrost the chillers or fridges thoroughly, cover and label food, keep food tidy, don't overstock, first in, first out, no warm food, separate raw and ready to eat foods, and decant food from metal containers. And always check when thawing food that the food is properly thawed before cooking. The best way to do that obviously is with a temperature probe. So always ensure you have a temperature probe available to check any defrosting poultry or meat. And it is preferable to thaw food in the bottom shelf in a covered container in a fridge. But as I've already mentioned, you can use such things as thawing cabinets. Always cook your food to 75 degrees Celsius core temperature, in other words the thickest part of the food. You can cook to lower temperatures such as 70 degrees Celsius, but you must hold it at 70 degrees Celsius for at least 2 minutes. So it's far better to heat it to 75 degrees Celsius in the first place, which is an instant temperature. Also be careful when microwaving foods. Always check the microwave product in several areas, because a microwave uses different types of cooking. It tends to cook in what we call straight lines rather than convection cooking, so there might be some cool spots in the product you're cooking. Always reheat food to a minimum temperature of 75 degrees Celsius, core temperature, thickest part of the food, much like cooking food in the first instance, and only reheat food once. Remember the temperature danger zone between 5 and 63 degrees Celsius. So if we are keeping food hot for service, much like the photograph that you were looking at, it must be kept above 63 degrees Celsius. The device that's shown in the picture is a bain-marie, which keeps the food hot from below and hot from above. The below heating is usually due to either a wet or a dry heat source, and the infrared lighting above is keeping the food hot from above. Dry goods storage areas should be ventilated, clean and light, off the floor and away from walls for ease of cleaning and to check for any pest infestation. There should be good stock control and checks. As I've already mentioned, first in, first out. First in, first out is a method to prevent food from going out of date. So any deliveries that come in, any new deliveries, goes to the back of the shelf and the old stock comes forward. And there should be a designated area for returns or discarded stock, and this should be labelled accordingly. There are only 2 dates that are allowed by law onto food packaging, and it's a use by date and a best before date. A use by date is used on perishable foods that can support the growth of food poisoning bacteria, in other words, that can cause food poisoning. So this is a legal requirement, a use by date. If you use a product after its use by date, you can be prosecuted. You won't be prosecuted by using a foodstuff after its best before date. A best before date is a food quality date. In other words, the manufacturer of the food has stipulated that that food will be at its best quality up to the best before date. After that date, they can't really guarantee the quality. FIFO is first in, first out. I've already mentioned this. It's a method of preventing foods and other things like cleaning chemicals from going out of date. We've looked at a slide on temperature control. Now let's look at a slide on time control. Always cook and serve fresh whenever possible. Avoid reheating and only reheat once. Minimize time in the danger zone, that's between 5 and 63 degrees Celsius. Store deliveries quickly. Minimize preparation time. Heat quickly, cool quickly. Serve hot above 63 or cold below 5. Date batches of food prepared in-house should be used quickly. Ensure thorough stock rotation, FIFO, first in, first out, and always observe the use by and best before dates.